is incredible. How about the last year? I wish I would have invested in Zoom about a year and a half ago.
I wish you had as well. I wish you had told me to do so.
Well, this is just incredible,
I,
man. I'm so glad to be able to do this in this fashion. You look great. You got the hair is growing out and you're looking a little dapper, I got to say.
a little something. It's a little something. This is the COVID hairdo. It comes with every pandemic. Yeah.
Well, hopefully there are no more of those, Lawrence. I think we are on to some better times ahead. I hesitate to be too positive about something, but
yeah, I know you got to be careful. You got to be careful with that positivity nowadays because it can end up punching you right in the face. But no, I think you have good reason to be positive. I'm hoping to get my second vaccine shot before the shows start, so I'm going to remain positive about that. But no, we're blasting ahead, and it's time for concerts again, and we're gonna do that starting next month.
You absolutely are. And, maybe it's coincidence, maybe there was something behind it, but Styx seems to be kind of on the forefront of concerts going forward, because it seemed like there were still bands kind of pushing out, saying, oh, well, we'll push to next summer. We'll go to the fall. Styx, you guys announced the tour with Collective Soul, announced a bunch of dates this summer and rolled it out there. Coincidence, or was there kind of something in the works there? You guys really wanted to make this happen, didn't you?
I think we really wanted to make it happen. I mean, I think, as a band, we wanted to make sure that we're not going to do something that's going to be unsafe for people, and a lot of that comes down to your own responsibility. It took over a year for people to finally realize there are ways of mitigating the transmission of this thing, and you can probably go and enjoy something, especially in the summertime. If you're still a little bit cognizant of what the reality is, and just face up to it, and your own responsibility comes into play, as it will for the band. We're not going to things are going to be different backstage. The catering is going to be different. The whole way that we are able to interact with people, at least initially, Clint, it'll be much more restricted than it used to be. But the show will still be not only will it be full out, it'll probably be even more full out, because it's if such a thing exists, because we've had a year to sit and think about what we're doing next.
Yeah, I've been sitting and thinking about it for a long time. My last show was February of 2020. It was Aerosmith in Las Vegas. My next show will be Styx. You guys are going to be here in Missouri for 2 shows, not just one, but 2. Lake of the Ozarks and Kansas City. Can't wait to see that with Collective Soul coming up. That will be my first show in a year and a half. So to say that there's some anticipation and some buildup, that's going to be incredible. And I'm glad that it's you guys. You've been a part of this band now for 22 years. Not to date anyone, Lawrence, but that's incredible. I think the last time we had you on, it was 19. It's now 22. What makes Styx, what makes this situation such a good fit for you, other than the fact that you're awesome and that your voice carries over and you're just a tremendous fit for the band? But personally, with these guys, what makes this work?
It's a joy to go on stage with these guys. It's rare that you're in a band where you realize that everybody you're on stage with kind of gets it, knows what we're trying to accomplish every single night. Todd has said, he's such an accomplished musician, our drummer, Todd Circman.
Yes.
To this point, we've never had a bad night. We've had times when things go wrong on stage, but we've managed to save it. And usually the audience never even noticed. I mean, like, some calamitous things have happened as far as power going out, or just completely, someone got the wrong set list and we're playing 2 different songs. But we've managed to get through these things and kind of land on our feet. So with all of that, and the incentive of a new album, Crash of the Crown, which is coming out on the 18th of June, it's full steam ahead.
It absolutely is. And I couldn't be more happy for you guys. And you talk about the new album, and I haven't had a chance to, because with Styx, you have to really have time to delve in, and sort of, it's an experience. Yeah. Styx albums are experience. So I've heard the songs. I love what I'm hearing. Crash of the Crown, you mentioned it. It's June 18th. Kind of talk about this release. Do you feel like the last year and plus of no touring commitment, Styx always does, 30, 40, 50 on upward amount of dates a year. Do you feel like this last year was pivotal in being able to have the time to get this done?
In some ways, yes. Clint, we actually played usually 100 shows a year.
Yeah.
Is kind of the benchmark. I
Yeah.
think we might have played 90 in 2019, and then maybe another 12 or 13 in the early part of 2020 in January, February. But we were 2/3 of the way through recording the new album when the pandemic hit. We finished the last third of the record roughly, a few months into the pandemic, when we realized, let's use this time creatively and make sure that we finish the record that we were working on, especially in light of the fact that I started rereading the lyrics and realizing these songs seem like they're written about the period that we're in right now, even though I know they were written about 6 months earlier. So I felt like, we all felt this is timely, and there's something kind of tapping us on the shoulder saying, finish this now and get it out there. So our record company, Universal, they were very pleased with the record and wanted to put it out, but thought we should really coincide this with when you guys get back out and play live. So that's become the coordinated effort, is to figure out when to do that, when the audience will be as safe as we can hope for, and the band as well, and that the music feels timely.
Well, I'm excited about this because I think that to see an album take form, it really needs to take form in a live setting. So I'm assuming we're going to be able to see some of this new material on this tour. And how excited are you to be able to present it in that live fashion? Because Styx is, like I said, it's different with Styx because it's such an experience.
I'm mostly looking forward to seeing faces. Seeing faces looking back at us. I think we'll probably introduce this record, Clint, much in the same manner that we did with The Mission, where we would initially not even announce it with a new song. I remember we put Radio Silence into the show, and early on, you'd see part of the audience going like, "Is this?" Trying to figure out what album this is from, and then you'd see somebody behind them with their arms in the air going like this because they've already got the record and they realize what it is. And as the year progressed, the next 2 years progressed, you saw more and more of that, to the point where, in Las Vegas, they said you could do a show of this album in its entirety. So we did a few of those. And I think with Crash to the Ground, it'll be a similar rollout. I can't say for sure. But the great thing with this record is the songs are very quick. They're very quick little pieces of music, intentionally. And that's how we were able to fit 15 songs onto an album. You can only really put 5, usually 4 or 5 per side, but the songs are very short. And because of that, I think they're going to slot pretty seamlessly between the classic, historic legacy material of the band that everybody wants to hear, and the new direction that we've taken things in, and the new things that we have to offer. I think that's another great thing about Styx. They'll find a seamless way of a very palatable way of kind of weaving it in with the fabric of the entire band.
Yeah, no question about it. And I think that's what endears the band so much. I mean, to me, that Styx, and there's so many bands that thank goodness are from that era that are still around and still able to command an audience. You guys have toured with bands REO Speedwagons and Foreigners and bands of that ilk. Yeah. What does it say about that era, about those songs, that they still live on in a amphitheater setting with tens of thousands of people that still clamor for this 50 years later?
Well, the last bit you just said is the most important part. I think it's now it's an indisputable. It's the rock music, classic rock music in particular. We'll put it in that. It's the grand musical statement of the last half of the 20th century. For 50 years, music has been defined by rock music, and this new millennium will come along, and there are new forms of music now with rap and hip hop that have really taken a new place, center stage. But the last half of the 20th century is that music. It is rock music, and the bands, as you said, being able to see bands like Boston and Foreigner and REO Speedwagon and the list goes on, and Journey and Styx, Kansas. but most of all Styx, of course. To see those bands continuing on, it is really a testament to just how strong the melodic content and the lyrical content was of those songs. I find it amazing when I see people that are half the audience on any given night can be under 30 years of age. They weren't even born before the biggest albums of these bands were made. And yet they relate to this music and they connect to it and see themselves in the songs as if they're living concurrently with it. I would say that that's also true if I was to say that as a little music historian. The first half of the 20th century, we could roughly say that it was defined by jazz, blues,
Mm-hmm.
and those influences. And that music was still very relatable in the last half of the 20th century, even though it wasn't the center stage. I think we're in that era now. And so now these bands they're revered as being, great, the great prophets of that time, musically speaking.
Well, for you, Lawrence, I mean, you had another life as a extremely talented, well-known, renowned musician with your group Gowan.
Yeah.
And yet, what is it creatively, about Styx that kind of keeps you invigorated? Because you have, all these abilities, you have so many things, about you that endears to so many different types of music fans. You're just so well-rounded. What is it about Styx? Do you feel like your creative muscle that you get to flex it in Styx enough, or is there times when you really, have these things on the side that you want to try to make time for or to do, or do you have anything like that maybe even coming up?
Yep. Since about 2010 and my first 11 years in Styx, I decided, I can't do my solo career and be in a band, of the magnitude of Styx. So I put my solo career completely to one side. And people in the United States, they didn't even know of it anyway because my records weren't released there. But in Canada, I had multi-platinum records. The year prior to joining Styx, I was playing a lot in England and on major tours there. I was opening for a couple of bands. Also played at the opening of Princess Diana's Memorial with the BBC Orchestra, and Todd Serkman was at that show. That's just maybe 4 months before I joined Styx. And what's funny is when my name came up as someone that could join the band, Todd said, "I don't know, he might be really busy if he needs to do it." But you see, when a band with that kind of a history and that kind of an impact in the world, it's quite an honor actually to be asked to join something of that level. Firstly, secondly, I'd had 14 years of a solo career. I saw Styx when I opened a show for them in Montreal, and I was really impressed with their show. And I know this is going to sound really curious, but a couple of my friends that I saw them with, I commented, I could see myself being in a band like this. In fact, I could see myself being in this band. It's really odd. I've never said that at another show. And it just struck me there was something about the character of the band, the spirit of the band that felt that way. And then I never heard from them for 2 years. So I thought, well, I guess I was wrong. And so when they called, I thought they wanted me to go and open more shows for them. But when Tommy and JY said, "No, we'd like you to be in the band," I thought this is a great moment when I can finally play for an audience in the United States. I've had a great run as a solo artist, and I'll come back to it when the time allows. So now, in addition to the 100 Styx shows we do a year, since 2010, I do usually somewhere between 10 to 15. I think 15 was my highest number of Gowan shows in Canada. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, every time I come back from doing them, Tommy Shaw always comments, there's something happens when you go and do that and then come back to the band, you bring something new, something fresh comes back in. And it's just a way of keeping the spirit invigorated within the band. Todd does great things with the clinics he does around the world with drummers. Tommy does, there's an endless supply of things that he's offered to do. And so between the three of us and the other guys, Ricky went and did an album for Ronnie Montrose, Chuck's always, being himself, he's the center of the band, as is JY. So we all have great tools that we bring back to the band whenever we reconvene.
Well, you guys are heading out on this initial run here with Collective Soul, which to some may
Yeah.
seem like an odd pairing, bands kind of from two different eras, but yet I think that I know Ed Roland, and we got Dean Roland coming up here I think next week. So I've seen Ed. I've rocked out with Ed at a Sammy Hagar show before. I think that guy is so in tune with so many different types of music. That band really is underrated. And just kind of talk about this pairing and going out with them. And if you've ever had any run-ins with them before this, or is this kind of a new ball game here?
Well, we have played with them a couple of times, and they are great. They're just a great
Yeah.
band, and they sound great, play great, really good backstage hang guys. So all of that's important, all of all those are all important factors, obviously. But I think we touched on it, even though they are, if you want to kind of put them into the 90s bracket, they go way beyond that. But I mean, if you want to put them there, as we mentioned, the last 50 years, you've got Styx represents the 70s, the early 80s, Collective Soul is the 90s, but the two of us have been touring, both bands have been touring over the past 20 years in this millennium. And we're still making new music. And so we're trying to stay as connected to audiences as we can and give them something a bit different. In Collective Soul, I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed at all.
Absolutely not. Both bands with new albums coming out, and we're so excited for everything. We're so excited for this, Lawrence. I'm telling you, this is going to be just tremendous. We can't wait, to be a part of it coming up here, and we hope everybody will go to the band's website, styxworld.com. You get all the dates, and there's a bunch out there. So get out to one. It's going to be a true experience. Lawrence, before we let you go, man, we got to hit you with our final 4 drum roll, which is 4 quick questions, and you just give us whatever comes to mind.
Ooh, okay.
We'll have fun. Okay. Now, what is the last concert that you attended as a fan, if you can even remember back that far?
I can. It was Roger Waters. Oh no, I'm wrong. Sorry. Elton John, Farewell Yellow Brick Road.
Wow. That's a pretty good one.
October of 2019. Yes. Managed to squeeze that one in and loved it. Go ahead. Next question.
Question. Are you made a post the other day talking about you live in Toronto, the NHL playoffs are on. Do you have a favorite NHL hockey team? Is it the Maple Leafs?
I live here in Toronto, right? I live here in Toronto. So by law, yes, I have to. I'm a Maple Leaf fan. It's funny you asked that. I did not expect this coming from Missouri, but yeah, I happen to have my iPad here, and there's the fun. There's me at 5 years old.
Wow. Yeah. So this goes back. Okay.
I didn't know you were going to ask that. I just had this sitting here. Yes. So there's that. Yes.
I am going to be cheering for the Maple Leafs just for you. We wish we had a team here in Missouri. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs, we've got the Kansas City Royals, but no NHL. And I think that'd be great here. We wish we had it.
Well, you won a Stanley Cup a lot more recently than we did. The Blues
did.
Stanley Cup.
Yeah. You're right about that. That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know Styx has been busy working on a new album. You're a musician. You're working on new material a lot. But in the last year and a half, are there any shows on Netflix or streaming that you haven't had a chance to catch up on thanks to the old pandemic here?
Oh yes. Oh my God, I don't want to miss any out. I really loved. Okay, I'll go back through the years. There's a lot of shows. I loved Ricky Gervais' Afterlife. I thought that was great. There was another one called, oh man, come on. I got into some really amazing foreign ones for a while. There's one about a prime minister in Belgium. Oh, come on, the names are escaping me. I want to suddenly put Netflix up and start naming them properly.
Yeah, I want to write them down. I was ready to make a list.
Fargo, although it stopped into the pandemic. I can give you,
Fargo's awesome.
Yeah,
great.
Incredible show. I rewatched, to get a load of this. My sister had never seen Breaking Bad. And so I decided she was going to watch it. So because she was asking me these questions, I decided I watched the entire thing again, all 5 seasons, just to see Bryan Cranston's acting.
Great.
That was one of the most enjoyable things. I want to give some people something new, though, I know, Ted Lasso.
That's great. Ted
Lasso was fabulous. I can keep going, but unfortunately, they're not popping into my head. Right
no, that's great. I'd say before
I'm in the midst of right now. I've just started because she hosted at SNL the other night, the Queen's Gambit, and I'm enjoying that very much. I
That
like
that
Chuck.
that is tremendous. Before you play the show here at Lake of the Ozarks here in a few months, you may want to watch Ozark, and then you may not want to come after
Oh,
that. But
sorry. I've seen all of Ozark,
you
and I
have.
love that show so much. And yes, I keep trying to spot various parts in that show that are, if they're shot there, or if I've been there. Is it Lake of the Ozarks where they?
Yeah, they actually shot the show, most of it in Georgia. So a lot of the
No
landmarks will
wonder it
be the
looks so
same.
familiar. I
Right.
remember Georgia is one of the greatest parts of Ozark.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And there's a part where REO Speedwagon plays a show at a
No,
casino there, right? And they're actually playing at the same venue you guys are a week later this year. So it's in a case of life imitating art. Yeah.
what that was on like a steamboat or something, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that was like the casino that the family put in there or something that
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
that they were laundering money through. Yeah, absolutely. So weird
That's
stuff going
great.
on here. This is great. Um, Last thing, Lawrence, and we will let you go. And we can't thank you enough for your time. Do you have? And I'm not trying to get a exclusive or a teaser out of this. I'll just say this: if there was a song from the new album that you might be really excited if you had the choice to play live this summer, what would one song be off the new album that you might want to play live this summer? Not that it will be happening, but if you had the choice.
I would love to play Crash of the Crown. It's a title
Yeah,
track, and because it goes through so many shifts in a
it
short
does.
4 minute thing, it's very dramatic for stage. But I also really like, there's a song called Common Ground, and I think it's got lots of elements that I think a lot of people can relate to after being through what we've all been through.
Long live the king is my vote. I know management will
Yeah,
be taking notes of this right here, so we're ready to do it. Lawrence, you
that's
are
a good.
absolutely the best, my friend. This has been so cool being able to do it this way, face to face,
Yeah,
and we can't wait to see you
yeah.
here in Missouri in a couple weeks, man. Thank you so much.
I'm really looking forward to it. Styx coming back to Missouri. Couple of weeks. Great to talk to you, Clint, and great to see you.
Always a pleasure, Lawrence. Thank you so much, sir.
Cheers.